Hello and welcome to ACS Golf and this week's review. Well, I'm looking at this, the Mizuno JPX Ez forged irons. There you go, a little closer look for you, from 2016. Now this is the second time Mizuno released the EZ irons. Originally they released them in 2013 and then jazzed them up a little bit and re-released them in 2016 because they were so popular. And obviously that JPX lineup has obviously been continuing every 2 years all the way up to the current models, which are the 925s. And the reason I picked these up is because Mizuno's, well, we all know Mizuno irons, they hold their value in the second-hand market. They're very popular, and so if you're looking for, 923 forged irons, which are a couple of years old, and 921 forged irons, even further older, they do cost a lot of money still in that second-hand market. But these necessarily don't. For some reason, they're not that popular. And I'll discuss that at the end of this video, maybe because they're just a little bit old now because they are 2016. But yeah, so potentially this could be a great value option for you guys who are sort of mid-handicappers and below who wants that Mizuno performance, that's if they're any good. And I will discuss that when we go for the ACS Golf Scale. So that's the reason I picked them up. And also to be fair, when I play with my friends, which I do, weekly, well, I try weekly. If no one's around, I will go out by myself and play because I need to keep myself tuned up for this channel. I do like to see what's in their bags. And I've got a very good friend of mine who plays these irons, doesn't play that often. He's a mid-handicap golfer and he loves them because it gives him enough distance and enough forgiveness for him that if he doesn't play that often, he can pick these up and, well, basically perform and still get around the golf course with a nice score. Definitely a player, let's be honest, who, if I'm being honest with myself, has a better swing than me, hits it further than me, and if he played him week in, week out, he would also be a lower handicap and probably a lower handicap than I am. Me playing off that 8 margin, well, 8 at the moment, he could easily get to like maybe 5 below, I think, really. But yeah, so it's also why I sort of looked at him and thought, potentially a good review for the channel. These aren't his irons. I could have borrowed his, I guess, but he's actually living up north now, and I'm down south, so these are a set that I picked up to review for the channel. Okay, so there's a little introduction about why I've picked these up, as always. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, have a closer look at these clubs. We're going to come back here, we're going to go through the technologies in this, and then we're going to get down to the range. We're going to throw some figures at you. I took the 6 and the 8 down there to test. Come back here for the ACS Golf Scale, and I'll give you my overall thoughts about these irons, and if you should pick them up, or potentially go for other Mizuno, so maybe the 919s, because as I said, they're not that popular, and maybe there's a reason why. All right, let's have a closer look at this club. So there you go, not a bad looking club, but I don't know, for me it sort of reminds me of the pings, your old pings which are just indestructible and you can't break, which isn't exactly what you want from a forged iron, to be honest, but still good looking club, in the back, definitely look better than the old EZ forged irons, which sort of had that orange there. Not great. I am a massive fan normally of colour, but I wasn't a fan of those looking clubs. But so yeah, so clean, smart looks. Can't complain with them. So let's get into technology that is in these clubs. So the use of 1025 boron catapults the Mizuno JPX Ez forged irons forward with increased distance and forgiveness. With the 30% stronger 1025 boron material, the JPX Ez forged irons deliver a thinner face for amazing distance while allowing the weight savings to be distributed out to the 4 corners. There you go, 4 corners, to amplify the power frame design, resulting in maximum forgiveness. Sounds amazing from a forged iron. Normally forged irons are for better players. The wide sole design on the Mizuno JPX Ez forged iron helps to lower the sweet spot to deliver effortless flight, to get that ball in the air. Moreover, the triple cut sole, you can sort of see that there, to be fair, triple cut sole, helps the player cleanly strike the ball from all types of lies. All of these advancements were achieved without sacrificing the elite feel sensation that you only get from a grain flow forged Mizuno iron. So there you go. There's a quick little bit of the technology that's in these clubs. There's always with irons. There's not a huge amount. And I like Mizuno. Mizuno don't boom, 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 boom on their website. And this isn't on their website actually because this is in 2016. You're not going to find it on their website. But just going through the clubs you could have got in this set, you could have got 4 all the way down to gap wedge. So the 4 iron was loft 22 degrees, 5 iron loft 25 degrees, 6 iron loft 28 degrees, 7 iron loft 32 degrees. So a little bit more traditional than your more modern ones. I think the Fords now are like 30 degrees, 925s, maybe even a little bit stronger than that. You know, they really have ramped it up in the past few years. Mainly because also they've had to because of the way they've sort of tried to increase forgiveness. But anyway. The 8 iron is 36 degrees, 9 iron is 40 degrees, pitching wedge is 45 degrees, and gap wedge is 50 degrees. So still pretty sort of better players. This is still relatively from the time, probably strong-ish lofted, but, you know, definitely quite traditional. Anything that's closer pitching wedge of 46 degrees in my mind is quite traditional. Anything with a 7 iron around that 32 and above is traditional. So, well, close traditional, let's be honest, it's not traditional. Traditional would be probably about 34 degrees. Personally for me, I know some of you are probably watching this from, you know, playing golf for years and years and years, will probably say, well, hold on, I think 36 or something like that, even weaker. But anyway, so there you go. Offset is relatively not that small, so it only maximizes out, sorry, on the 4 iron being an offset of 0.220. So there's a little bit of offset in this because they are trying to still make this forgiving. Remember, you know, the JPX line, that was more the forgiving line, apart from the Tour irons they did, which I think they've stopped now in the 925 range. Those Tour irons were literally blades pretty much, you know, well, elite blades, you'd say. Elite players, cavity back irons, there you go. Because they also, always had that MP range, you know, the Mizuno Pro range, which was really set up for the better players, while the JPX range was more for your helping you, getting you out on the golf course, but still having amazing Mizuno feel. So there you go. There's all the technology that's in this club. I have these in the Mizuno's own graphite shaft, the ones I picked up, regular 70 grams. I'm not a huge fan of graphite shafts. I do always struggle to find a face a little bit because they just feel a little bit lighter. Well, the shafts feel lighter and then the heads feel a little bit heavier for me, so I do struggle with them, but we shall endeavour to test these. Obviously, I actually took them down a few times to test. My iron play at the moment is probably the worst thing about my game. Normally it is the best thing about my game, and a few more lessons when it gets a little bit warmer in the UK, because at the moment we are in winter. Hopefully that will sort that out, because I'm finding fairway after fairway with the driver and not capitalising on it. So there you go. But anyway, enough about my golf game. Let's get down to the range, show you my dodgy swing, and talk about the figures in this, and then come back here for the ACES golf scale. All right, see you in a bit. Here I'm down at the range with the 8 iron and the 6 iron. To be honest, I hit a lot of balls with these clubs because my iron play isn't that good at the moment. Definitely letting me down, especially on the golf course. I have to have a few lessons to fix that, I think, when the weather gets a little bit warmer. But anyway, let's get into the numbers, because I did hit enough good ones to give a really good review for these clubs, which is always good. Now, with the 8 iron, I had a carry of 137 yards, total distance 138 yards, ball speed 104 miles per hour, launch angle 25, and height 89 feet. Really happy with that, really happy with the stopping distance. Perhaps maybe a little bit longer. I would have liked, to be honest, but it is winter, you know, but I am swinging a little bit quicker than I normally do at the moment, because I am trying to increase that distance, which is probably why I'm not making that great connection with the irons all the time. Now, moving on to the 6 iron, I had a carry of 160 yards, total distance 167 yards, ball speed 114 miles per hour, launch angle 21, and height 80 feet. So again, not that bad at all. Generally really happy with that. Would have liked to go to that 170 mark, but still it was very good. Longest on the day with a 6 iron was 172 yards, really good, and shortest was 154 yards, carrying only 158 yards total distance. You know, there's a little bit of forgiveness there, but not a huge amount. But overall, good performance. Here are the results on the table for you. You know, really happy with that 8 iron there. Only 1 yard rollout. You know, perfect. I mean, if you hit the green, it's sticking on the green, which is exactly what I'd want from these type of irons. 6 iron, roll out 7 yards. Not the end of the world. It is a higher club, but maybe preferred a little bit less, to be honest, with, you know, if it's a forged JPX iron, hoping for maybe 5 yards perhaps, and maybe a little bit low spinning, but again, not the end of the world at all. I'll take any distance I can get really at the moment. Consistency wise, 8 iron was really consistent, and even the 6 iron, to be fair, when struck well, you know, it was consistent with that rollout as well and carry numbers. Workability wise, just to add, really easy to work these clubs. Not
like a blade, but definitely for what they are, you can definitely move the ball around, so happy with that.
So there you go, and not bad figures at all, to be honest. You know, especially with those lofts, I mean, I was really going for it. It's one thing I'm trying to do at the moment is increase my speed. So normally with a 6 iron, I'd want 170 yards, 8 iron be sort of near that 150 mark. If I'm sort of looking at game improvement irons, even though now I'm sort of getting close to that distance anyway when I'm really warmed up and swinging for it, even though it is winter. You know, if I'm on a golf course, it's not that distance at all because I'm cold between swings and I can barely move. But that is on me and years of playing rugby and not looking after myself. Anyway, moving on, as I mentioned, you know, not bad at all. You know, 6 iron on average, 160 yards carry. Total is 167, so quite a large rollout there. Not necessarily stopping as much as maybe I'd want. These type of irons too, but not the end of the world. You know, they are sort of mid-handicap irons and not geared completely for your better players. So there's going to be a little bit of a rollout. Ball speed is 114 miles per hour. I was happy with that. You know, height, launch angle 21 degrees and height 80. So really pleased with that. 8 iron didn't quite get the distance I wanted with the 8 iron. You know, 6 iron for winter, really happy with that. 8 iron, would have thought maybe a little bit longer, but stopping power, great. You know, distance 137 yards on average carry. You know, total distance 138 yards. Stopping on a dime, perfect. Exactly what I'd want from sort of those forged, you know, mid-handicap lower, you know, lower clubs basically, because they're also built to, you know, well, control the ball better, you know, get the spin better, you know, be able to play your type of shot. So getting that stop on a dime is really, really good. Ball speed 104 miles per hour, launch angle 25 at 25 degrees, and height 89 feet. So yeah, very happy with that. And we'll get into the we'll get into the forgiveness in a second when we go for the ACS golf scale. But you know, with that 6 iron drop all the way down to 158 yards total distance, ball speed dropping down to 111, there's not a great amount of forgiveness in it, but I nearly did miss the club face. But we'll get into that now as we go through the ACS golf scale. So, ACS golf scale, remember we got distance, feel, looks, price, and forgiveness. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. As I mentioned, even though it's in winter, you know, I was really going for this. So 6 iron was getting close to that sort of game improvement distance. I want that 170. Don't get me wrong, these aren't game improvement irons. Do not believe they're game improvement irons because they're not. So it's pretty decent distance. Not with the 8 iron, though, it was a little bit shorter than I sort of expect with the 6 iron distance. But overall, still very happy. So I'm giving them 3 out of 5. I think there's decent distance in there. They're not stupidly strong lofts. They're not going to go miles. They're not big game improvement irons. So again, they're not going to go miles. But overall, pretty solid distance. Basically, the best type of distance that I would want from this club. You know, this Forge club, you know, mid-handicap, a lower club, in my mind, you know, to get that distance is fantastic. So yes, really happy with that. So yeah, so 3 out of 5. Solid for this type of iron. You know, really, really happy with that. Yeah, can't really complain at all. Moving on to feel, we'll leave feel to the end because it's very important for this type of iron. As nothing feels like a Mizuno, so is it any really good? And that's maybe perhaps where this club is falling down. So I will discuss that at the end of the video. Looks wise, 3.5 out of 5. I like the look. It is starting to age a little bit, obviously with this cavity back here. A lot of clubs, newer clubs, hide that, which sometimes they hide it, and I really don't like the way they hide it, to be honest. But you know, it is maybe showing its age, but because of the colouring of it and everything like that, yeah, not bad. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Top line isn't that thick, but it's not the smallest club, so it will inspire that little bit of confidence that you're going to get some help. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Just showing its age a little bit, I think, personally. Forgiveness, as I mentioned, that 6 iron really did drop off, but it went straight. It did go straight, so I would have been on the fairway just a little bit short. And as I mentioned, that was a really bad hit. You know, I'm not hitting my irons well at all at the moment, so I'm definitely testing the forgiveness across these faces. So I'm giving the forgiveness 3 out of 5. For this type of iron, again, I think it's got really good forgiveness. I think it is solid with that cavity and that weighting around there. The type of player who's probably looking for these irons, there's definitely going to be plenty enough forgiveness in there for you. Like I said, you know, my friend who's a mid-handicap player who doesn't play that often, unfortunately, at the moment, you know, when he picks these up, it's got enough forgiveness for him that if off-centered hits, you know, obviously if you completely miss the face like I did there, you do get punished, but relatively off-centered hits, you don't get punished that much. So yeah, 3 out of 5. I think the forgiveness is very solid again for this type of iron. So at the moment, this Mizuno's ticking all the boxes from exactly what I'd expect from their forged JPX lineup. You know, good distance, 3 out of 5. You know, good forgiveness, 3 out of 5. Exactly what someone would want from this type of club. Workability wise, yes, you could work it. I did try and work it a little bit. Do I think it's as good as maybe the newer ones? Maybe not, but still, you know, plenty enough in it that you can work the ball if you want to with this type of club, which is good. Moving on to price, let's go into price next. So price, I'm giving a 4 out of 5. You know, if you're buying it on the second-hand market, you're looking between sort of maybe 160 to 180 pounds. So what, you know, $200-ish to maybe $225 range, which is 5 for pitch, which I don't think is bad at all. You know, if you're looking in sort of second-hand golf shops, like sort of Golf Bidder over here in the UK, you're looking sort of around £208 starting, which is around $260. Again, not bad at all. So yeah, 4 out of 5. You know, very good sort of irons for their price. And to be honest, I think, I probably actually taking it back, I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. I'm even changing it right now on my Excel spreadsheet. Sometimes when I go through and do these videos, I suddenly change my mind sometimes with the ACS Golf Scale. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5. Like I said, decent distance, decent forgiveness. Well, good distance, good forgiveness for this type of iron. Looks relatively okay. Personally, I mean, a lot of guys, you know, look at that and think, actually, that looks like quite a nice iron, and they will be happy with that in the bag. But to be honest, I could have it in the bag. You know, I really wouldn't care that much regarding the look. So, yeah, 4.5 out of 5. Really good value. Are you going to find a Mizuno like this for the same sort of value? No. I think if you're looking at the second-hand market and you want the 919 forged, or maybe, you know, the model up, and then suddenly adding another £100 on their minimum in my mind. So, well, $100 as well. So, yeah, 4.5 out of 5. I think they are really good value for what they are. I don't know why they're not that popular. Actually, I do know why they're not that popular, and I'm going to get into it now. So, feel. All Mizunos that I've done, including their woods, have always been like a 4.5 and above. Everything, that's why I love Mizuno, because I love the feel of them, especially hitting them out the middle. Lovely, beautiful, beautiful clubs. This feeling, 3.5 out of 5. It doesn't feel like a Mizuno, which is why I don't think it's that popular compared to other models. It doesn't feel like a Mizuno. You know, this is forged and it's slightly battered, but compared to like other forged irons I've got, you know, my current clubs in a bag at the moment are forged, and they're getting battered with, you know, well, basically being a bag, being clattered about. Don't get me wrong, the person obviously who brought these before probably looked after them really well. That's why they're not as battered. And there was a few little chips on there, but they don't feel like a soft Mizuno forged iron should. It feels quite hard off the face, quite difficult to tell where my off hits are as well. You know, it feels more like a game improvement iron should rather than the forged irons for those mid handicappers. So that's why I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5. Someone else might say it actually feels really nice, but you know, I tried a lot of Mizuno irons, so I am disappointed with how this felt. And this is why I don't think they do that well compared to other Mizuno models, because they just don't feel like a Mizuno should. And all the reviews back in the day from these in 2016 all pointed that out, said they felt quite hard. You know, for a Mizuno club that's supposed to be forged, you didn't get that soft Mizuno feel like you normally would with their forged products. It definitely felt a little bit harder, which is probably down to this weight moving around and everything to help the launch, you know, to help forgiveness and help that distance. You know, they definitely sacrificed a little bit on the feel, which obviously they've improved over the years to get back to that great feeling club that you would expect from Mizuno. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Not the end of the world, but for me, I could still play them. I really could, but if someone had a Mizuno, say JPX 919s forged, I'd just look at them and be jealous. Be like, I wish I was hitting them. So there you go. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5. Not the end of the world, but if you're expecting that soft, buttery Mizuno feel from a forged iron, you know, that they, you know, can claim nothing feels like a Mizuno, you're not going to get it with this. And that is why I think the price of these is lesser, than you would expect personally. 2016, all right, we're getting to 10 years old, but I think 2016 was a good year where we sort of plateaued on a lot of things. You know, as I mentioned, my mate has these in a bag and absolutely loves them, and I can see why, apart from the feel, because performance-wise, they do perform. So there you go. There's my overall review of the Mizuno JPX Ez forged iron from 2016. For what this iron is, aimed at sort of those mid-handicappers, lower down, I think it's got exactly what you need. You know, it's got forgiveness, 3 out of 5. It's got distance, 3 out of 5. I think maybe a little bit more forgiving than the sort of the newer JPX, forged irons, to be fair. But you do lose that Mizuno feeling, and that is the main issue with it. And that's why the price-wise, I can't give this a 5 out of 5, to be honest, because you lose that Mizuno feeling, and that's my one issue with it. But overall, a fantastic Mizuno club. But if you didn't have that Mizuno stamp on it, and you're just going with a blind test for feeling, would you be able to guess it was a Mizuno? I don't think you would. So there you go. All right, guys. Now, I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Mizuno JPX Ez forged iron from 2016. I think it's a great option out there if you want to save money and you want to play a really good sort of forged, well, I say forged, it is still forged, really good sort of mid-handicap lower iron that's going to offer you workability, decent distance and decent forgiveness at a cheap price. This is a great option out there. Just don't expect it to feel like the most buttery, softest thing in the world. That's my only issue with it. And do let me know down in the comments below, have you played the JPX Ez forged iron? If you have, do let me know what your thoughts are about the feeling of it. Do you think it still feels like a Mizuno iron? Because personally, I just don't. I just don't feel it. I don't feel it. I see it, but I don't feel it. Okay, guys, again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you did, and do remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. It is free, and you do not miss out on any, ACS golf reviews that come out every Sunday, old equipment like this. We've got new equipment coming out on Friday. We're definitely growing the channel this year, so do hit that subscription button so you do not miss out on that, and you're part of the, growing community that does just watch me sit in my office half the time. I appreciate it. All right, guys, I'll see you soon for the next ACS golf review. See you then.